Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. Hello, everyone. Oh, my goodness. What an honor it is to be with you all on tonight. Tonight is special. You know why? You know why. It is the last Monday of 2021, and it's the last broadcast of 2021 for Pain and Abuse Mental Health and Ministry, and you get to be a part of it. So I'm excited. And if you don't know who I am it by now, let me introduce myself. I am Chelselia Cookie Payne. I am the founder of Pain and Glory Incorporated, a nonprofit 501c3 organization located right here in metropolitan Atlanta. And listen, this initiative, where you're tuned in tonight, this is an initiative called Pain and Abuse Mental Health and Ministry, where it is our goal, it is our desire, it is our mission to bridge the gap between mental health and the faith communities, bridging the gap, knowing that you can indeed have faith and a therapist at the same time. And so we are excited that this is the last one of the entire year. But not only that, if you have been following us, you already know that the entire month of December has been dedicated to healing mind, body, and spirit. Right, the whole month of December dedicated to healing, dedicated to making sure that we are whole, mind, body, and spirit. And so tonight, guys, you are in for a treat. So go ahead and hit that share button. Go ahead and let others know. Go ahead and tag someone and let them know that Pain and Glory is on with the Pain and Abuse Mental Health and Ministry broadcast. Let them know that we are going to be discussing a topic that many people can identify with, that many people need to hear, and that is discovering something that is important. We're going to be talking about discover the mind-body connection to chronic pain and the path to healing. And we're going to hear from my sister. I'm honored to share this moment with my sister. I love her dearly. She is a jewel to the kingdom. She is a jewel to the mental health community. And listen, she is just a powerful woman of faith and of education. Let me tell you that. And I'm honored to have with us Charlene Flagg of Matters of the Heart. Charlene, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be here, Chelselia. I am so excited to join you and for all of those who are joining us.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Listen, as we're getting started, as I said a moment ago, go ahead and share. Go ahead and tell others that we're on. I'll be monitoring the chat for our guests because I want her to be able to dive in and not have to worry about the chat. So I'll be monitoring the chat. But I definitely want us to be engaged because listen, chronic pain, chronic illness is something that I think people think is one-sided. They, we just deal with it. The people, whether it is arthritis or lupus listen, we could go down a list of things that cause chronic pain. It could be anything from something we're genetically born with to a car accident. It could be so many things. But Charlene, let's back up a bit. When we're talking about discover the mind-body connection, let's get into that. Let's talk about that connection that you know how to give us the background on. Give us some insight on that.
Certainly, Chelselia. And there is indeed that mind-body connection to chronic pain. And as you already mentioned, we don't think about the connection, but they are indeed related. With chronic pain, there's an increased likelihood of certain psychological disorders, and there are psychological disorders that we're now learning that can trigger chronic pain.
Right.
So we're going to talk about that, but more importantly, we're going to be talking about the path to healing.
Yes. Yes.
Because that is so important. The path to healing. 3 John 2 says, beloved. And I like the way that scripture starts, beloved. I pray above all things that you prosper and be in health, and that's physical and mental health, even
Mhm.
as your soul prosper.
Mhm.
So God is concerned about this. This topic is so important, Chelsea, because I believe when we see all the suffering that we're experiencing right now due to the pandemic,
Right.
that is really triggering psychological and physical pain, it's
Right.
breaking God's heart.
Right.
So you're being obedient to God by actually having this topic and allowing God to use you to help others to heal, because He doesn't want us hurting. He said that we're fearfully and wonderfully made,
Yes.
and our bodies were designed to heal. Our bodies were
Mm.
designed to heal. God does not want us in pain. And I just want to begin by reading some information. This is from the National Institutes of Health. It gives tremendous insight on that, on the mind body connection. First of all, just a little bit on depression and chronic pain. According to the National Institute of Health, depressive disorders are chronic conditions that produce both emotional and physical symptoms. So, major depressive disorder affects the entire body, mind, and the physical body. It also affects the spirit. NIH goes on to say that increasing evidence suggests that in some patients with depressive disorders, a neurodegenerative process may also occur.
Wow.
So, in individuals with depressive disorders, a psychological disorder, a disorder that we think is of the mind,
Mm-hmm.
it is affecting the entire body,
Wow.
has a negative impact on the central nervous system. Now, going on just a little further, depression, chronic pain, and suicide. Again, according to the National Institute of Health, individuals with chronic pain, listen to this data, are at least twice as likely to report suicidal behaviors or to complete suicide. Twice as likely.
Wow.
Psychosocial factors such as mental defeat, pain, catastrophizing, hopelessness, perceived burdensomeness, and thwarted belongingness are associated with suicidality outcomes. So, what it's saying is the way you think about your pain increases the likelihood of the suicide risk.
Wow.
Those are two powerful things. So, the mind, psychological disorders can create physical pain.
Mm-hmm.
Physical pain can trigger psychological disorders, particularly depression and anxiety, and both together increase risk for suicide. So, what's going on inside of the human brain that's so fearfully and wonderfully made that's causing this to happen?
Right.
I'm not gonna, bore you guys with this, but I think that you will find this fascinating. But more important than that, herein lies the information for the path to healing.
Okay.
Okay. So there's something that's called central nervous system sensitization. It develops and manages chronic pain. And chronic pain is defined as pain that exists for more than 3 months, regardless of the source. It could be due to an injury or, an accident, whatever, the different sources that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
But if it exists for longer than 3 months, that's chronic pain. And then the central nervous system sensitization develops and begins to manage that chronic pain. Now, this is the thing that is fascinating because it's the source of the healing. When physical injury connects with a persistent stream of negative stimuli like gloom and doom thoughts, fear,
Hmm.
anxiety, and toxic emotions,
Hmm.
your nervous system becomes highly reactive. Isn't that
Wow.
something?
Wow.
So
Wow.
we already just read that, when you're in chronic pain, there's a tendency to think negatively about that pain, to
Right.
develop, some hopelessness.
Hmm.
But that just increases the pain. It
Because it has
causes,
an effect on the physical body.
it has an effect on the physical body, on the central nervous system. And that is my son who knows he shouldn't be walking into the screen, guys. I'm sorry
No
about that.
problem.
It causes it to become more sensitive
Right.
and the body more highly reactive to pain. Psychological and social factors play an important role in causing pain, especially after your injury has healed.
Wow.
So
Now,
if
now go stay right there for just a moment.
okay,
Go back to
okay,
what say that one more time.
psychological
Yeah.
and social factors play an important role in causing pain, especially after your injury has healed.
Expound on that just a bit.
Okay, so what it's saying is, even so, if I break my arm,
Yeah.
and if I'm experiencing a lot of pain during the time that my arm is broken,
Right.
but remember, we're fearfully and wonderfully made.
Right.
And so our body is going to begin to heal. Because first of all, when that pain in that arm is telling you seek some help. So
Right.
you go to the ER, they x-ray you, they find that it's broken, they
Right.
set it, the body immediately starts to heal.
Okay.
But you're in a lot of pain.
Uh-huh.
And what happens when we're in pain? We begin to think negatively.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel good. No, we don't feel good. And we really don't feel good, and we begin to think about how bad we feel,
Right.
right?
Right.
But in spite of that, because we're fearfully and wonderfully made, our body is healing. We're designed to heal. Now during that time period of all that pain, healing is going on.
Right.
That bone is beginning to mend. But because we've engaged in a pattern of negative thinking during the healing process,
Uh-huh.
what the National Institutes researchers are saying is that the National Institutes of Health researchers are saying is that even when the healing process has completed, that negative thought pattern in which we engaged during the healing process will cause our brain to stay in pain.
That's amazing.
Negative
That's
thinking
amazing.
causes the brain to stay in pain.
That's amazing. So
Isn't
even
that
after that
amazing?
bone has set, even after that bone has started to heal and it started its own process of regenerating because the bone has to be reset. The
Yes.
thought processes of what the pain caused and how painful it was, it doesn't leave and it still lingers, which causes more pain.
Which causes more pain. Isn't that
Wow.
amazing? Is that
Wow.
not amazing? It says thoughts, emotions, behaviors, prior experiences, cultural influence, religion, all work to impact your brain's decision to produce pain.
That's
So it's
powerful.
not that is powerful. So it's not just the injury that's producing the pain. It's a lot of factors, but particularly how we are thinking about the pain.
And the pain is real.
The pain is real.
Real.
The pain
It's
is real.
real pain. Yeah.
Real pain. But it's healing.
Wow.
But if we have entered into such a negative state of thinking during the pain, and we may have already had a negative state of thinking before we had that injury, our brain continues to interpret pain.
Interpret pain. Wow.
It's like
Wow.
I said, the negative thoughts trains the brain to be in pain.
And that's
But it's
amazing.
still,
Go
isn't
ahead.
that amazing?
That's
Isn't that
amazing
amazing?
because it's the key word that you used just now was train our brain.
It is.
That's wow.
It is. And training the brain is actually a process that's called neuroplasticity. And we're going to talk about that because we really, when that happens, you really can retrain your brain. But you have to understand that that has occurred. Okay. These and other factors influence how your brain and nervous system process injury and disease. At the heart of persistent pain, and I'm going to repeat this because this is powerful. At the heart of persistent pain lie your thoughts about the pain and the experience. Your mind and body are not separate, but indeed very much connected, as our title says,
Right.
and always exchanging information. The way you think and respond to stress influences how you experience life and feel physically. Scientifically speaking, your brain receives stimuli from both your internal and external environment, subsequently transmitting signals. This is powerful. It's transmitting signals to different tissues and organs, triggering a physical response.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? Is that not amazing?
So then for people who and this may be a stretch, but people who have and you hear about who have had chronic illnesses and then they have system or organ failure, just one after the other, their organs begin to fail. And it seems as though I've heard this term as though they have given up. So is it that, like you said about training the brain, is that something that because they have given up that their body is adhering to what their mind has willed, or is that just something out of their control and that is just something that is naturally happening in the body?
Okay. Now, I want to stay in my lane during this presentation. I'm a psychotherapist and not a physician. And
Yes, ma'am.
when I hear
Yes,
you
ma'am.
use terms like organ failure, system and
Yes, yes,
organ
yes.
failure, it depends on the underlying disease condition.
Well, of course,
But
I should have
yes,
prefaced it.
yes,
Yes.
yes, because we don't want to mislead your listeners.
No, not at all. I should. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Right,
ma'am.
but what this article is saying though is the way we think about our bodies
Our bodies. Yes, ma'am.
when we're in pain, when there's
Right.
disease, when there's an injury,
Right.
it does play a role.
That's amazing.
It plays a
Yeah.
powerful role.
And what you said earlier in the study, when you were talking about how it affects us socially, even you gave a list of different things about how this whatever the injury or the pain is, the pain source is, how it affects so many facets of an individual's life.
Right.
How it really determines so much when a person is dealing with chronic pain. That word that you used earlier, hopelessness.
Yes.
That's wow.
And that can definitely happen when you're dealing with chronic, severe conditions, cancer, uh and I'm thinking of immune disorders,
Right, right,
lupus,
right,
movement disorders, Parkinson's disease,
right,
diseases that will, and injuries
right.
uh, that will cause long term pain for at least three
Absolutely.
months
Pain
because
for at least 3 months. And I think that that's key to to kind of keep in mind as well, that you said pain for at least 3 months, because that's, you think about it, 90 days, that's a long time.
That's a long time
That's
to
a
be in
long
pain.
time.
And there are people who've been in pain for years,
Years.
years.
Yeah.
And that sense of helplessness can begin to set in.
Right. Right.
And there are people who wake up in pain and go to bed in pain. And then you begin to think, is this ever going to stop?
Right.
And year after year after year, you stop asking the question, is this going to stop? And you start answering the question, no, this is going to last forever.
Wow.
And
And
we
then
weren't just
therein goes the brain, the
helpless.
thoughts.
Yes, the thoughts. And then one of the thoughts we said, it's like, I would rather not live like this.
Wow. Wow.
And then what's happening is when we begin to think that way, it has a negative impact on our entire body.
Wow.
And part of it has to do with the activation of the physiological stress response, because chronic pain is considered within the medical community as a stress state, which
Chronic
means
pain is considered as a
as a
stress
stress
state.
state,
Wow.
which means that there's the activation, the hyperactivation of the physiological stress response, where you have those high circulating levels of cortisol and norepinephrine, and then that causes the increased, heart rate and the increased breathing, just that activation of the cardiovascular system. And the inhibition of other bodily systems, like the inhibition of the immune system and the reproductive system. So you are in a stress state,
Wow.
and it
Wow.
is triggered over and over again by the thinking,
By the
and
thinking.
by the thinking, and prolongs the healing. And when I just said that, the scripture just came to mind that says, as a man thinks in his heart, what? So is he.
So is he. And I listen, those of you who are tuned in now, I know that you are getting so much out of this as I am. Listen, go ahead and hit that share button, begin to like, listen, tag people that you know are dealing with a chronic illness, a chronic pain. You want them to be a part of this conversation. You want to share this with as many people as you can, because not only are we talking about chronic pain, we're talking about the path to healing.
Yes.
So make sure, grab whomever you need to be a part of this discussion. I know we're broadcasting in a few different platforms here. And listen, I want you to make sure this is our last broadcast of the year. I want you to make sure that you get all the juice out of this particular fruit that you can, and make sure that your loved ones and yourself, listen, that you're getting all that you can. So, Charlene, tell us more, because when we're talking about the connection between the mind and the body, which is this is so interesting. It is very interesting. But then you put that at the end where we're talking about the path to healing. How do we even
Yes.
go in that direction of that path to
Ab-
healing? We need
Absolutely.
to know.
And I want to just encourage individuals who might be in chronic pain to please pay attention to this path to healing. And when I'm saying, and in the research saying that it's part of your thoughts, it's not blaming you.
Yes.
It's a natural
Yes.
response to
Yes.
begin to think negatively when we are in pain. And I just want to, and just to let people know that I'm not blaming Chelsea, I want to just share a little bit of my own personal story,
Please do.
because I have been in chronic pain for many years. So I'm learning this, and I'm learning what's working, and I know that my body is healing. I'm diagnosed with a movement disorder called dystonia. I had never heard of dystonia before I was diagnosed with it. Dystonia is, as I mentioned, is a movement disorder similar to Parkinson's disease. one of the differences between Parkinson's is that Parkinson's comes with a particular trajectory. They can pretty much tell, how it's going to progress, and it comes with cognitive decline. Well, dystonia is so different. It varies from person to person. It looks different from person to person. There's several different kinds of dystonia. You can have dystonia in any part of your body or throughout your entire body. Now, for me, my dystonia is it manifests itself in the head and neck region, which might sounds really strange to some people. It sounded strange to me because, like I said, it's a movement disorder. It affects your muscles. I never even thought about muscles in our head, but when just raise your eyebrows, those are muscles, and then there's a tissue called fascia in the scalp. Then we have muscles in our neck and shoulder.
Right.
I have so much pain in that area. And we talked about being in a stressful situation can make the pain worse.
Right.
Well, as a mental health professional, I love what I do.
Yeah.
I put all of me into a session.
Yeah.
And there's a time period for years when I was working with individuals with severe and persistent mental illness, which means that I was working with individuals with schizophrenia, and a number of other issues. While I was pouring all of me into them, I wasn't sufficiently engaging in self-care. So what was happening to me? I was becoming stressed out.
Yeah.
And with this condition that I had, it got increasingly worse. So over the past 3 years, the pain just got so bad. I mean, can you imagine, just like what I said, waking up with pain and going to bed with pain? And where did I say mine was? Centered in my head.
Yeah.
This is going to sound like the most bizarre thing. It actually felt like someone had their hand on my head and just squeezing and crushing and squeezing and crushing. And I even remember asking my neurologist, could it possibly crush my skull?
Wow.
That's how
Wow.
intense the pain was.
Wow.
The cause of it is unknown. The treatment of it is really not great treatment. So I had to learn about this. I had to learn how to change the way I thought about the pain, because something I do remember, and I'm just going to be honest with your listeners. I'm okay with honesty because, as I said to you before this show, if I can help someone because of my pain journey, I'm okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I can remember getting to that place where I felt like I no longer want to live like this. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. But I didn't stay in that place. I'm a psychotherapist. I have a psychotherapist. I picked up the phone and I called her immediately. And what she said to me is what I'm going to say to you guys, because my neurologist has said something to me. And this is number one. My neurologist has said to me, "This is your life, accept it."
Wow.
And what my psychologist said to me was, "No, it is not. Do not accept pain as normal, because that is not what God died for you. That is not the abundant life." So that for the path to healing, my first step is, first of all, if you are in pain, work with your medical professional to identify and treat the pain.
So, my sister, that's a good place to stop right there because
Okay.
I have a question. There's a question that has come up, and this person asked, and I think it kind of ties into your first point. The
Hmm.
question asks, can stress lead to chronic pain?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Because as I mentioned, it's the physiological stress response. Having high circulating levels of cortisol and adrenaline is not good for our bodies. And this happens over years. It's a destructive process. And if you already have an underlying pain condition, it can make that condition worse. I've been diagnosed with dystonia for years and was managing it just fine, or so I thought.
Right.
But there was this underlying process in my body that was ongoing. So, absolutely, it can cause pain and it can make a chronic condition worse. So, just to get back quickly, because I know
And
we're
thank you
running out
for
of.
no,
Go
you're fine. Thank you for answering that, and thank you for asking that question, Miss Sharon. I appreciate that question. I wanted to make sure that because it seemed like it just kind of fit as to where you were going.
Absolutely. So, what I'm going to say is if you're in pain, work with your medical professional to identify and treat the pain. Now, remember when I shared with you guys being very transparent, I had reached this place, and I'm just going to be in the field of psychology. We have what's called passive suicidal ideation and active suicidal ideation. Active suicidal ideation is when you say, "I no longer want to live. This is my plan. I am going to take certain number of pills on Tuesday, and I am going to end my life." That's an example of active suicidal ideation. Passive suicidal ideation is just what I described. I just don't want to live. I don't want to be here anymore. I can remember praying, "Lord, please just let me come home and live with you." So I didn't have thoughts of taking my life, but I really wanted to be out of the pain just that much. And particularly with my neurologist, one of the, and I'm not going to call any names, but he's at one of the top places in the country saying to me, "This is your life." And I talked to my psychologist and she said, "No, it isn't." I talked to my PCP. She also said, "No, it is not your life." And she referred me to every other. And if you guys know the pecking order in medicine, a neurologist is considered up here.
Mm-hmm.
So when
Mm-hmm.
my PCP took it upon herself to start referring me to other people, she was kind of stepping outside of her lane.
Right.
But when I'm saying to her, "I'm praying not to live anymore," she's like, "We're not having this. We're going to send you to other people."
Right.
And it was my orthopedist who sent me to physical therapy.
Wow.
And my physical therapist said, "We don't tolerate pain. You don't have to tolerate pain."
Wow. Wow.
So that
That
is that
statement
is
alone
that
is
is one
powerful.
thing. And I'm going to say, and this is the statement that I refuse to accept anybody who says to you that pain is inevitable. Refuse that. That is a lie from the pit of hell. Refuse it. So you can begin your healing journey, because then if you that's thought in your mind, if the thought is in your mind, "I can't heal. I'm going to be in pain forever, forever." You've already lost,
Right.
because there's no fight there, right?
Right.
To get out of pain, we have to fight. We have to fight to get out of pain. So you have to believe that you can fight, and you have to also believe that when Jesus said that he came that we could have a life and more abundantly, that it meant that he does not want us in pain. So my point is, refuse to accept it so that the fight can begin.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Okay. And then
I like that.
also, you like that? Yeah, we
I
have
like
to,
that.
Celia. Because guess what? We were put here for a purpose. Before God formed us in our mother's womb, he put us here for a purpose. And that purpose is not to suffer. We have a destiny. We have something to accomplish. And chronic pain hinders us from that, right?
All the time. Yes.
So we have to
My
fight.
goodness. Yes.
We have to fight. We have to fight.
My
And
goodness.
just one thing, I can remember telling my brother how I felt. And I could hear the pain in his voice, that his sister felt so bad that she no longer wanted to live. And he said, "Are you seeing somebody?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, I am. Yeah." And so I want the this is so close to my heart.
Yeah.
So anybody out there, so when I say it's because of the way we think, no, I'm not blaming anybody because I've been there.
Hmm.
I've been in that place of thinking. And I am, and since I've been working with my physical therapist and thinking differently, my pain is getting better. And I know that God is going to heal me.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
not this is not going to be forever. The
Yes.
other thing too that's important though is if you are in chronic pain and you're having those thoughts, recognize it.
Mm.
If you're beginning to feel sad, if you're fatigued, if you're having difficulty sleeping, if you're having those thoughts like I was having, Lord, just take me. Do something about it. See someone.
See someone.
Tell your primary care physician, see a psychologist, talk to somebody. In
Yes.
physical therapy, there's so much that's old school thinking that we just have to tolerate pain.
There
These
you go.
kids coming out of school today, and they're not kids, they're in their 30s and 40s, but they have techniques and different ways that they were trained to help us get out of pain. Okay? So see someone, think positive, believe that healing is possible. Imagine your body healing. We've
Yes.
already said, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. You prayed for me before you came on board. You prayed
Yes.
that my muscles function properly, my nerves function properly. I've
Yes.
had my friend Gwen Traylor meditate with me. She
Yes.
meditates with me, and just her meditating with me like that is so powerful. Your prayer for me is so powerful. I think that's powerful. So
Yes.
begin to think, because what we're doing is we're retraining our brains,
Retraining the brain. I think
because
that's so important.
and it's actually a scientific word for it. It's called neuroplasticity. We got into this negative pattern of thinking, right? We
Right.
trained our brains to think that way, that even when that inhibits the healing process, we can retrain our brains.
And
And
I'm certain I spelled this wrong. Neuroplasticity. Let me see if I.
no, you did. You spelled it correctly.
Okay.
You did. You get an A plus.
Thank you.
And also think about those with COVID, Chelsea.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
a life threatening, even with that diagnosis,
Yeah.
your mind begins to think, am I going to live through it?
Right. Right.
And then you hear about the long haul symptoms, you hear about the psychological symptoms of it. The
Yeah.
path to healing is believing that I can heal. Now, am I saying that individuals who pass away didn't have enough faith? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not God. But if God allows you to, each day that God allows you to remain, you believe that your healing is possible. Does that
Yes.
does that make sense?
It absolutely does.
Meditate on healing scriptures. That's so important. Almost every night I go to sleep on healing scriptures, and you can just go right online, go to YouTube and search healing scriptures. They are filled with them. And just you can just go to sleep meditating on those healing scriptures. Get that in your mind, because we're retraining our brain. We're beginning to think and align our thoughts with what God wants for us. And the Holy Spirit even challenged me to look at the book of Matthew, which I'm reading. All throughout Matthew, it's Jesus healing. And I can remember reading one scripture, and it said he brought all the sick to Jesus, those in severe pain. He gets it. He was healing severe pain back then, and
Yeah.
he's still healing today.
Absolutely.
It just might be
Absolutely.
a different way. It's through physicians, it's through physical therapy, it's through these other things. All of these I consider healing from God. Chelselia, this next thing, I cannot emphasize it enough as well. Eating a healthy diet. You, because pain is associated with also inflammation.
That's true.
So we have
That's
to
true.
avoid food. And some people may not like this, but you might really have to think about eliminating meat from your diet. And if not altogether eliminating it, I heard one top cardiologist say, start with just having one meal a day, you know, and just letting that be one meal a day with meat and not meat every single meal. Let your diet be plant-based, at least until it heals, because that is going to reduce the inflammation. And inflammation occurs over the entire body, including the brain.
That's
The
true.
brain, the brain can become inflamed. So, we already know what healthy eating is: reducing meat consumption, reducing fried foods,
Mm.
reducing
Hmm.
sugar consumption. Is it easy? Absolutely not. Is it worth it? Yes. But it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
Start a little bit at a time. You
Right.
just say, even if you can just take, say on Wednesdays, I'm going to have one meal. Wednesdays I will only eat meat for one meal.
Right.
Even if you start at that point.
Right.
But eating properly is so important to pain. Just to give you an example, Venus Williams is diagnosed with an immune disorder, a debilitating immune disorder.
Okay.
She did not want to be on medication for the rest of her life. Her sister Serena suggested start eating a plant-based diet. She's been on a plant-based diet now for 10 years. She's doing great. She's
Awesome.
doing great. So,
Awesome.
eating a healthy diet. The other thing, this might sound counterintuitive when you're in pain, but when you're in pain, get moving. Everything inside of you is going to say, lay down, stay in bed. I want to stay in bed. You got to
Right.
get it moving. You got to get it moving. And the reason why, there is a tissue that surrounds our muscle. You might have mentioned that in my head, there's
Hmm.
fascia.
Hmm.
There, surrounding our muscles, our organs, and even our cells is a tissue called fascia. You guys may have heard the phrase myofascial pain syndrome. When we don't move, that fascia becomes restricted, and that contributes to pain. We have a very famous president, John F. Kennedy, that was diagnosed with myofascial pain syndrome. He almost didn't run for president because of that. So, getting moving and doing slow, methodic exercises helps to loosen up that fascia. Now, I'd like to recommend someone, and this is an individual who I watch, and her name is Miranda Esmond White. She was a dancer who had an injury and was bedbound, and taught herself about fascia. I do her exercise every day. It's slow, it's rhythmic, it's methodic. Tai Chi is also good because Tai Chi helps with breathing. Because when we're in pain, what do? We tense up.
Right. Right.
That leads to what? More pain.
More pain. Right.
You need to learn how to breathe, deep breathing, and breathing properly. Tai Chi helps with that. So, those, and over time, you will begin to notice a difference. Are there any questions, or do you have a question? Do we keep going?
Listen, there have been some comments, so I'm gonna go back.
Okay.
Goodness, there have been. There's been some comments that have come in. This is great. Listen,
Okay.
this has been wonderful. Let me see here. Um, one sister says, she says, um, I am one of those people who is I believe she may have meant joint pain all the time when you were talking about when we have to get up and we have to fight. Another person says that her husband says that will yourself to feel better. When you were talking about as a person thinks, so is he, and she said that that was one of the things that her husband has said, that you will yourself to feel better. Something else that it was said here, it says here, it's hard for some people to even think that it can start with the way they think to start to feel better. And this is when you were talking about thinking the way that we think. And I believe they're saying it's hard for some people to grasp that knowledge or that understanding that you literally can think yourself uh, better. Um, when you mentioned earlier about the old school way of thinking, um, let's see here.
Can I just make a comment about that? It
Please,
is
please,
hard.
please, please,
But
please.
you know what? Our God is good, and we have a choice. I can lie here and believe that I will be this way forever, or I can believe that I will get better.
Right.
And what in the way, you know what I'm saying? But what
Yes.
you can do is just pray. Dear God, please help me to even believe that I
Yeah.
can get better. Start where
Start
you
there.
are.
Start where you are.
I
Yes.
don't even I don't even believe right now that changing my thoughts will make a difference. Please help me to believe. And then that begins to we accept Jesus at his word. I came that you can have life and have it more abundantly. By his stripes you are healed. Am I going to take Jesus at his word or not? And I'm not attacking anybody's faith because I've already shared my journey, right? But I choose to believe that God is going to heal me and that he is healing me. I've been on this journey of changing my thoughts and changing my diet for a year. And where I am today is so different from where I was a year ago.
Wow. Wow.
It's a big difference.
Wow.
And I look forward to life. It it gets better. And one of the things that I used to do, Chelsea, is I would wake up in the morning and I would just see, how is my body feeling today? And I would let that lead me. No, I'm doing it the other way around. I wake up in the morning and I tell my body, we're having a good day today. This is a day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. You muscles, you will function today. You will function well today. You are going to not be in as much pain today. I tell my body instead of letting my body tell me.
I like that because so often we do that. And that's not just for chronic pain, that's for a lot of things.
Yeah,
How am I feeling today? Well, I'm gonna go how I feel today. But then,
yeah,
we're specifically talking about chronic pain, and you said it earlier. Sometimes, our first thought is, I'm just gonna lay here. I don't feel like getting up. I just, I'm in too much pain. But that movement that you said, once you command, we have the power in our tongue to speak life and death. We have the power to speak what we want to happen, and we also have the power to speak the negative as well. If there's power of life, there's also power of death. If there's power of positive, there's also power of negative. So when you said you get up and you will your day, you tell your body, this is what we're going to do. Now there may be a disagreement in there, but I have the final say. I have the final
exactly,
say. you know
exactly,
we all
exactly,
of us, we serve a sovereign God, so we are
yes.
going to walk in our healing until where we are and what we profess line up.
Exactly, Chelsea. Exactly. And the thing that I'm also seeing is that the depression and the anxiety is declining. And I
Wow.
wake up and I'm like,
Wow.
that's what I say. Wow,
That's powerful.
that's powerful. simply by me changing what I'm thinking, meditating, and again, just the eating properly, the exercising. Um, Again, check with your physician before you begin any exercise regimen. But the individual that I recommended, Miranda Esmond White, she goes very slow. She sold millions of copies. Her story is very well known. I learned about her through PBS, but check with your physician and start slow.
And it's Miranda Esmond White.
Yeah, it's an E, but you're good. If you go to YouTube and Google that, you will see her videos. Yes,
Awesome. Awesome. Listen, we have had some great comments, and many of them have just been, I love what this person said about, they use a perfect word, strategy. I love the strategy. Like, meditating, exercising, you know, first re doing things, putting things in place, putting strategies in place to retrain our brain. Because if
yes,
not, it will run away like a runaway train, and it will
it
go
will.
in the direction of the pain. And the
Yes,
pain exacerbates the pain.
the pain exacerbates the pain. You're right. You're right. So we
Yes.
have to retrain our brain.
Yes. And
Yes,
then the healing process can begin. So, in that retraining, we're retraining it how to eat. We're retraining it
yes,
how to think positively.
yes,
We're retraining it how to trust, because now we have to trust that God is really the healer he says he is. We have to trust that we can believe that we actually can be healed. That healing
yes,
is available for us. It's not
yes,
just people we see on TV or on social media or whatever who have the testimonies that, like what you just gave about Serena Williams, right? It's not just
yes.
those people that that's them. It could be our testimony
It's
as well.
us. It's for us.
Yes,
It's for our healing. Yes.
it is definitely for our healing,
And
and it's
and
available.
it is available. It's available.
It's
And
available.
the if I just have a couple minutes,
Please, please.
supplements are so important because of
Oh, oh
nutrition.
yes, yes.
And I only recommend supplements that are very well researched. I am a scientist and I follow the chief scientist. That's God. Okay?
Yes, yes.
There are some supplements that are so powerful. And I learned about supplements when my son, at the age of 17, and I was working at one of the top healthcare systems in the country at that time, and I believed that everything could be solved with a pill
Okay,
until my son was diagnosed with Crohn's disease
okay,
at the age of 17, and he was in a lot of pain.
okay,
And because he was in so much pain, they refused to give him anything for the pain because they didn't want him to have addiction on top of what he was already dealing with. I'm like,
okay.
this child, he's in so, I can remember one time he walked in the door and he was in pain. He was in so much pain, he collapsed. And I can remember him saying to me just what I said. He said to me one day, Mom, I'd rather die than live like this.
Wow,
At 17. I'd
wow.
rather die than live like this. So God began to reveal to me supplements. One of the first things he revealed to me was black seed oil.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so you know about black seed oil?
I actually have black seed in my kitchen.
Okay.
It's right there in the kitchen.
Black seed oil is so powerful. It's one of the it contains omega 3s, omega 6s, and it fights inflammation.
Yes.
Black seed is so powerful that pharmaceutical companies are looking to develop synthetic versions of black seed oil. And at the time, there was a clinic in California that was treating Crohn's disease with black seed oil.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
actually spoke with someone in California, not one of the researchers, but I spoke with someone, and in its culture, it's from North Africa.
Hmm.
They say that they believe black seed oil can cure any and everything
And
but death.
but death. Yeah. Interestingly enough, the way I heard about it was my former chief. She was our former branch chief. She is, well, I was about to say, well, she is Indian, and she told me about black seed and what she didn't have the oil. She had it in its pure form, the seed,
The
and
seed.
she would take the seed, take a pinch of it, and just take a few uh, uh, seeds daily. And she began to tell me of all the benefits. I had never seen this person ill. Never, in the years I'd known, never seen her ill. I thought it was almost a little odd that she, 'cause
Hmm.
but in addition to the black seed, she did eat healthy now. She
Yes.
one of the things that you just said. But so she told me, about black seed. I hadn't even heard of the oil. I had never
Yeah.
heard of black seed at all. So I had
Yes.
never heard of the oil, the seed, or anything else.
Right.
But
Right.
when she
Yeah.
began to tell me about it and how it'd been around for hundreds of years, and
Yes.
the benefits of it, then I started doing as she did. So I actually literally have the seeds in my they're where you can't miss them. I put them because sometimes some things are out of sight, out of mind. So I put them in a
Hmm.
decorative dish in the kitchen. So you have to see it. I have to pass by it so I remember to see it every day.
Right, right. It's a very, very powerful, but it's been scientifically researched. They understand. Again, it is naturally. You've heard of
Mhm,
the benefits of fish oil. This
mhm.
is like exponentially greater and more beneficial than fish oil, the
Yes,
black
ma'am.
seed oil. The other thing is African red tea, also from the motherland. I'm going to recommend three supplements, and they all three are from the continent of Africa. African red tea has been researched by the National Institutes of Health, the National Cancer Institute, Rutgers University, Rice University, Tufts University, the top universities in the country. It has 50 times the nutrients of green tea.
Wow.
50 times the nutrients. We
Wow.
know that green tea is powerful. Now, I drink, and believe it or not, you can actually get African red tea that has black seed in it. That's what I drink.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it has the black seeds in it.
Huh.
And I can remember brewing that tea for my son. And he said, Mom, in giving him that tea, I can finally sleep.
Wow. Wow.
So it's healthy, it's relaxing, it's pain relieving. It contains polyphenols. It helps to which helps to fight inflammation.
Wow.
There's
That's
science
powerful.
behind this. That's powerful. The final one I'd like to recommend. So, do we have time,
Yes,
Chelselia?
please, please.
Okay. If you guys have heard of super green foods, I learned about super green foods from there's a rap music mogul. I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, he was talking about the super green foods.
Jermaine Dupree.
Not Jermaine Dupri, older than Jermaine Dupri. He was married to the Asian woman.
Um, I know he. Why can't I think of his name? I know exactly who you're talking about.
Okay, okay. And he talked
Can't think of
about
his name.
how powerful it is. Super green foods contain things like green vegetables. We know green vegetables are so powerful for us, but it also contains other nutrients like the grasses, the oat grasses, the wheat grasses, spirulina, chlorella. All of those are so powerful and they have all been very well researched. Another person at the time, Jordan Rubin, was also diagnosed with Crohn's disease very young, and he was taking super green foods. Has partnered with, and I will give names of people who've been very well researched because this is a show about healing. So you need resources. So you can look at the stories of Jordan Rubin and Dr. Axe and their company. The most potent super green food on the planet is called moringa, Moringa.
I just was looking at that the other day when I was buying
Okay.
getting my supplements. I just
Hmm.
was looking at that.
Hmm. Hmm. It is so healthy. It helps to boost, I mean, it's overall health, and it boosts the immune system. So I like getting a super green food that has all of the vegetables and the grasses and the spirulina, and then I mix my moringa in it, and you have one of the most potent super green foods that you could possibly drink.
So, do you make it into a smoothie, or is it just a drink, or is it tea?
I make it into a smoothie. Now,
Okay.
this is not something that's difficult. You can buy a powder, where I'm not asking anybody to get up and get their blender out and with the kale and the spinach. No, we're too busy for that. It's a powder, and you really don't need a blender. I just use one of those little shaker cups.
Uh-huh.
You can get a brand, and the brand that I like is Amazing Grass. You can get it right at Walmart. You can get it at the vitamin shop. You can get any brand. I mean, just try to get it organic and a brand of moringa and have that every day.
Wow.
We need to detoxify our bodies.
That is so true. That is so true.
So this is mind, body, and spirit. You're detoxing our
Yeah.
bodies so we can provide the environment so that it can heal. We're having positive thoughts to facilitate the healing process, and then we're entering into the presence of God.
There you go.
Mind,
Wow.
body, and spirit.
Mind, body, and spirit.
And
Listen,
science
this is
supports it.
yeah.
Science supports it. Remember, I read that statement about how religion, the way we think, all of this plays a part. This is science. So we
I
can
love it.
heal. Beloved, I pray above all things. I pray above all things that you prosper and be in health, physical health, mental health, even as your soul prospers. It's just as important to God that we be pain free as the salvation of our souls. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. This has been amazing. This is this is what better way to have the final Pain in the Pews broadcast of 2021 than this amazing discussion on healing and this pathway to healing, mind, body, and spirit, on how we can retrain our brain, about how we can depend and trust and lean upon our Savior, and how we can actually use things that are natural, that are at our disposal right here as supplements to help us in this journey to detoxify the things that are in our bodies, the inflammation and the things that are causing us disruption in our systems. And it's available to us. It's all available to us. And I love the fact of how you said, talk to someone. When these thoughts come up, when these ideations come up, when these feelings come up where you feel hopelessness or helplessness or just overwhelmed,
Yes.
talk to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to someone. Talk to
Yes.
someone who's qualified to talk to you. Let me be clear on
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
go to somebody who's still in the ditch with you because
That's
it's
right.
not
That's
good.
right. That's right. That's
Don't
right.
don't be whoa and then go to and talk to is me. So we don't want
Exactly.
whoa is me talking to one
That's right.
another.
That's
But
right.
you,
That's
you
right.
want to be able to talk to someone who's qualified to talk to you. Oh my goodness. Listen, if you all have gotten even a sliver of something out of this, listen, I invite you to be a part of something dynamic that's coming up January 29th. It is the annual Faith Based Mental Health Initiative annual conference. It's going to be dynamic. There are
Yes.
going to be speakers that are going to be, and it's going to be virtual, you guys. So whether you are joining from any part of this country or abroad, you can be a part of this conference. Charlene, please tell the people just a little bit of what can be expected at this faith based mental health conference.
Chelsea, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is going to be a powerful conference because what we're doing is we're bringing in the top researchers, not just in the country, but in the world. We have researchers from Cambridge University, Yale University, Columbia University, who are going to be discussing their research on how integrating spirituality promotes mental health outcomes. We're bringing top practitioners, we're bringing individuals with lived experience who are
Mhm.
all coming together to say faith based therapy works. It works, it
It
makes a
works.
difference.
We
Yes.
are excited to be a part of it. Listen, both myself and Charlene. Well, Charlene is this is her vision, and we are a part of this great vision. Oh my goodness, y'all! January 29th. Be ready. You're going to see very soon. You're going to see the announcement. You're going to see promos. You're going to see how you can get connected so that you can be a part of this conference that's coming up January 29th. Listen, this tonight, this is just a snippet. This is just a little, because
Just a
listen,
little-
what you got on tonight was someone who has not only the education and the research, but she also gave her lived experience. She gave you a snippet of what we're going to expect on January 29th.
yes.
Listen, you don't want to miss out. And it would not be a Pain in the Pews broadcast if I did not give you the opportunity to sow into what we are doing. Just last weekend, we held our last mental health first aid training. And it was, listen, it was marvelous. It really was. And because of your donations, we were able to sponsor some people who really wanted to be there. And we were able to have such a dynamic time. These are some of the things that we're going to be doing in 2022, offering services that we want to be able to provide, and offering to be able to sow into other ministries and to be able to aid this year, earlier, Mother's Day weekend, we were able to, because of your donations, we were able to help to feed 250 women and children at a shelter here in Atlanta, Mother's Day weekend, because of your donations. And so I invite you, please, Cash App, $ Pain and Glory, or PayPal at the email address that you see on there on the screen. Again, this is our last Pain in the Pews broadcast of 2021. In 2022, we are changing up some things, and you'll see some announcements coming up about that. But in 2022, we're going to be doing things a little bit different here, so you'll see what's coming up. But until then, listen. I appreciate you, Charlene, so much. I want you to tell people how, if they want to connect with you beyond today, listen, how can they uh, connect to you?
The name of my agency, and thank you for this opportunity, Chelsea, is Matters of the Heart Counseling Services. And the best way to connect with me is via telephone 678 764 4697, or you can email me at Charlene3843 at att.net. Again, that's Charlene3843 at att.net.
And the phone number once again?
678
Uh-huh.
764 4697. And I'm
Excellent.
offering virtual and face to face appointments.
And then I'm going to ask you one more time, Charlene. Let me see here. Let me make sure I have it right. Charlene, you gave me some numbers and I don't remember what they were. Charlene,
3843 at att.net.
843 at app.net.
And while I just wanted to say the conference is going to also be exciting because we have some awesome entertainment, Chelsea.
That's
I didn't.
right.
Yes, we have an up and coming rapper who is going to discuss how integrating spirituality into his therapy improved his mental health functioning. And not only is he an up and coming rapper, but also an entrepreneur, awesome entrepreneur. Uh, to Live Bree with his own line of shoes. So this conference is designed for everyone of all ages.
It is, and
Yeah.
it's really going to be something that you do not want to miss out. This is something, as Charlene said, it's for all ages. It is for people who want to know more about this integration of faith-based therapy, because we're not hearing much about, our faith and our mental health being integrated as much as you think it is available to you. And guess what? It works.
It
It
works.
works.
Good.
So, Charlene, thank you again for being
Thank
with me
you.
on tonight. Thank you for being my guest on tonight to close out 2021. This has been the best way to close out 2021 for our last broadcast of the year. I applaud you for sharing your testimony. I believe that your testimony helped others. I know that your path to healing is what's going to help others on their path to healing. And
Yes.
I know that there are going to be testimonies that come from this, that others will be able to say that because I tuned in on a Monday night, this time next year, this time
Yeah.
next week, there can be a change that takes place because of the seeds that you planted. So I thank you so much. I
Thank
really do.
you, Sylvia. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining in. I thank you for all the comments. We'll go back and read them. Thank you for all the encouragement over the whole year. For those of you who have tuned in over this past year, actually we started Pain in the Pews broadcast April of 2020, and we've been going straight since then, since April of 2020. Now we're at the end of 2021.
Mm.
And listen, thank you all for being a part of this journey with us. We will see you again in 2022. Until then, be safe, be safe, be safe, be blessed, and know that you can retrain your brain, you can be healed, and you are a child of God. God bless. Don't go anywhere, Charlene. God bless you guys. We'll see you next year.